This conference will now be recorded.
Hello students, I'm Dr. Divya from TeenEinstein. Today we are moving to next part 3 of chapter 13, organisms and populations. So what and all we have learned in this chapter? We learned what is ecology. What do you mean by ecology? Like ecology is the study of relationship of living organism with the abiotic and biotic components and their relation with their environment, and it is a main branch of biology. Okay, then which are the 4 levels of biological organization concerned with ecology? Organism, population, community, and biome. These are the 4 levels, right? So we learned about 4 levels of biological organization. Organism. What is organism? That is every individual of a species. So that is the basic unit of study in ecology. What is that? Organism. Organism is the basic unit of study in ecology. Then we learned about population. Next comes the population. That means population means a group of similar individuals. That means they belong to same species and they live in a well-defined geographical area, and that is called as population. Population means similar individuals and they are living in a well-defined geographical area. That is called as population. Then next comes communities. What is community? That is assemblage of population of different species. Different species will be there in that. Population of different species. That together is called as community. Actually, community will be having plants and animals, and that they will be living in a particular area. There will be plants, animals, everything will be there. So biotic community. What do you mean by biotic community? Association of individuals of different species living in the same habitat. Then we learn about biomes, the next level. That is the large unit, right? Biome means that is the large unit of land which is having different communities. Okay, different communities in a large unit or large area. It is the large unit of land which is having different types of communities. Okay. Then next we learned about habitat and niche. Right? What is habitat? The geographical limit within which a population exists. That is called as habitat. A population, it is existing in a limited geographical area. That is called as habitat. Then what about niche? That is the habitat specific function or how this is interacting. That altogether it is called as niche. So all these things we have learned. Then major abiotic factors. When we are learning about organism and its environment, we learned about major abiotic factors, right? So what are all major abiotic factors? Temperature, water, light and soil. They are the major abiotic factors. So temperature means that is ecologically relevant one, or that is a relevant factor. See, when season is changing, according to that temperature also changes. Then in different geographical region, the temperature level also varies. Then we learned about water. So based on the temperature, the animals or the population of organisms that also differs. Those which can adjust in that temperature range that will exist in a particular region. Right? So next comes to water. Next we are going to water. That is another important factor which is influencing life of an organism. So we said in yesterday's class itself, we said life originated in water. Right? Then productivity and distribution of plants. That is also depending upon water. Right? For agriculture practices, we need water. All this we discussed yesterday. Then freshwater animals are not only water. That is not a single component. That components of water that also matter. That means the chemical components, then the pH, everything that also matters. Because when the pH is changing, the organism which can survive in that particular pH level, that also differs. Right? Those who can live in fresh water, those animals cannot survive in the saline water or sea water. So there is a particular type of organism which can survive in different conditions. So there are different conditions for a living organism to survive in a particular habitat or an environment. The next comes light. So here mainly we are mentioning about sunlight, which is a major source. So you know that sunlight that increases the temperature as well as the light, and that light energy that is used for photosynthesis. So indirectly that is affecting the productivity also, right? So according to that, when photosynthesis is more, plants can produce more food. Then for flowering, to meet their photoperiodic requirement for flowering, for that also plants are depending on sunlight, right? So sun is the source for both the availability of light on land and the temperature. For both, sun is the major source. Then we said about ultraviolet component of that spectrum that is harmful for many plants, many organisms, not only plants, it is harmful for many organisms. And in that spectrum of sunlight, all color components of that visible light, that is not available for all plants, because it depends upon the wavelength. So in deep sea, those organisms, they are not aware about the sun, which is a source of energy or source of light. Okay. Then next comes soil. You know the importance of soil because everything is growing in that soil. So the property of soil, that is a very important point, because you know, for agriculture practices, all crops won't grow everywhere. For particular soil, particular types of crops are there, right? So all crops won't grow everywhere. So for food production or agriculture practices, for that and all, soil composition, then grain size, then all this water holding capacity, that is very, very important concern about soil. Water holding capacity, grain size, then soil composition, everything is very important. So that based on that, vegetation in that area is determined. Then pH, then mineral composition, everything. Each and every factor, it is having an important role. Okay. Then depending upon that vegetation, then that soil type, based on that, which kind of animal can persist there, or which kind of animal can be supported there. So all these are interlinked. So we have learned about temperature, water, light, soil. All these we have learned. Next, we are learning about responses to abiotic factors. We have learned about some abiotic factors, right? Air, salinity, soil, temperature, light, water, humidity, pH, minerals, all these are abiotic factors. So how organisms are responding to these abiotic factors? That's what we are going to learn now. See, we know that, or we have learned in lower classes and all, we have learned many species, they would have evolved a relatively constant internal environment, right? Internally, they'll be having a constant environment. They'll be maintaining a constant environment. So that helps them to make or to perform all biochemical reaction or all physiological functions. For what? For maximum efficiency, right? So that they might have got adapted in such a way that they can exist for millions of years in the same way. In different generations, they can persist in the same way for millions of years without much changes. That species can survive. So like that, they might have got adapted. All internal environments will be constant and they'll be maintaining a constant way of living. So the physiological, that's why we are studying about different physiological functions and all. So when we are studying about different physiological functions, we'll get an idea about the organism and internal environment. When we are changing from the physiological or biochemical reactions are changing in the body of an organism, we are getting an idea like there is a change, internal or external change in that reaction. See, what is like human beings, we are calling it as disease or something. When our normal performance of the body is changing, we are calling it as disease, right? What is fever? When our body temperature is increasing, that is called as fever. Why body temperature is increasing? It is due to many reasons. See, if we have digestive issues, like in normal way, in our body digestion is not taking place, that is called as deviation from the normal function of body. So that time, and for that also, we can see many reasons. Maybe some kind of infections or improper digestion. So some organisms like some microorganisms like bacterial or viral infection, that and all. To kill that microorganism, our body is raising the temperature, right? For that purpose, our body is working. But that is called as fever. So like that, our body, when our body is deviating, so all biochemical functions will change. Not only in human being, all organisms. So there will be a constant, they'll be maintaining one species of organism, they'll be maintaining a constant internal environment. That's why it is permitting all kind of biochemical reaction and physiological function. And that will be maximum efficiency during that course of time. So this kind of performance that will lead them to the fitness of that particular species, right? There is a constant level of performance that makes that organism to move in a constant way. That means it is having all kind of adaptation to survive in that environment. Then, when we are talking about the optimal temperature and osmotic concentration of body fluids, so there are so many conditions which is making to upset the internal environment. So the maintenance of that constancy, maintenance of that internal environment, that is called as homeostasis. So what is that? Even though varying in internal environment is present, then also maintenance of the constancy of internal environment, that is called as homeostasis. So there are so many reasons to change that internal environment or to upset this internal environment. Still, it is maintaining the constancy of internal environment, that is called as homeostasis. Okay, so the tendency of biological system, to resist all these changes, that is called as homeostasis. So, what is homeostasis? No doubt, what is homeostasis? That is the tendency of biological system to resist change, to prevent that change, not prevent, to resist that change, that is called as homeostasis. It is trying to avoid that kind of changes, that is called as homeostasis. So in an ecosystem, that term homeostasis, that means the equilibrium, that shows the equilibrium in the ecosystem. This can be seen when it's showing an equilibrium. Okay. So the abiotic conditions of many habitats that may vary drastically in time. So during that time, or that course of million of years of their existence, many species, they would have evolved a relatively constant internal environment. Within the body, they'll be having a constant internal environment. So all biochemical reaction or physiological functions will be working in a proper way, or there will be a proper method. So all these physiological functions will be with maximum efficiency. So all these, when all functions are going properly, that enhances the overall fitness of that species, that will get adapted to that particular environment in a proper way. Okay. Then see, when we are saying a person performs best, when they will perform best when the temperature is 25 degrees centigrade. Okay, and they like to maintain the temperature in such a way that 25 degrees centigrade. Then if it is hot condition or it is cold condition, whatever may be, the temperature should be 25 degrees centigrade, and they try to maintain that. So by using air conditioner in summer season, by using air conditioner, and by using heater in winter season, they'll try to maintain that, or they'll be achieving that temperature at home. Or if you are traveling also, in summer season we'll switch on AC to reduce the temperature, to bring it into the normal temperature, because that is the best temperature for us, right? Then around that person, they'll be trying to maintain that proper temperature. Why? Because in that temperature only that physiological functions, physiological functions or biochemical functions in our body, when we are maintaining that temperature, in that temperature only, that homeostasis. Now we said about homeostasis, means whatever condition maybe it is trying to avoid, or it is trying to achieve the internal environment in a constant way. That is called as homeostasis. So when the temperature is more or less, whatever may be body, a person's body, that will try to achieve the homeostasis, right? So in response to all these abiotic factors, there are 4 strategies which is adapted by the organism. Okay, there are 4 strategies in response to all this. See, in terms of optimal temperature and osmotic concentration of body fluids, then an organism that will try to maintain constancy of its internal environment, that is called as homeostasis. We have already told. Then external environment will be that environmental conditions will be continuously varying. So that will make disturbance, or that will make difficulties in achieving the homeostasis. Still, body will try to achieve that or to maintain that homeostasis. So suppose a person is able to perform best when the temperature is 25 degrees centigrade, and that person will be trying to maintain that temperature, right? So when it is hot, extremely hot condition or cold condition, whatever may be, that person will try to maintain, that body will try to maintain that 25 degrees centigrade. So if you are at home, what we will do, we will switch on AC to reduce the temperature, or at workplace, whatever may be, we are trying to achieve that temperature by switching on air condition in summer season, right? And in winter season, by using heater, will increase the temperature to reach at 25, right? So these performance, that will be always maximal regardless of whether around him or her. Okay, so here that person is trying to achieve the homeostasis. So not through physiological, but through artificial method, that person is trying to achieve the homeostasis. So here, how other living organisms cope with this situation. When situations or the environmental conditions are changing, how organisms are adjusting with the situations. So there are various possibilities, or there are 4 strategies which is adapted by the organisms. Which are they? Regulate, then confirm, then migrate. 4th one is suspend. Which are they? Regulate, confirm, migrate, and suspend. Okay. So what do you mean by regulate? See, by physiological means that H is constant body temperature, thermoregulation, body temperature regulation, and constant osmotic pressure, osmotic concentration, that osmotic regulation. Then some organisms, they are able to maintain homeostasis. Then thermoregulation and osmoregulation, this is shown by all birds and mammals, and some vertebrates and invertebrates, they are also showing it. So how they are able to show this? It is due to their ability to maintain a constant body temperature, right? They are able to maintain that thermoregulation. They are able to do that thermoregulation. They are able to adjust or maintain the constant body temperature. And if they are living in polar region or normal condition, whatever may be, or in desert condition also, they'll be trying to achieve that normal body temperature. So in humans, the same mechanism is used. Okay. Usually mammals, they regulate their body temperature, a constant body temperature, that means 37 degree centigrade. That means 98.6 degree Fahrenheit. That is 37 degree. In Fahrenheit, when you are saying 98.6, in degree centigrade 37, and human beings are maintaining this one, right? See, when summer comes, body temperature, outside temperature is increasing. So that time what body will do? Body will start sweating, right? So that sweating is reducing that outside temperature, that is trying to reduce the body temperature in summer season. So for that purpose, body is sweating. Another one is when a body is shivering, that time it is a kind of exercise which is performed by the body for what? That produces heat, right? When we are shivering, that is a kind of exercise by the body. So while shivering, what they will do? That is for heat production, and that raises the body temperature in winter season. And when the temperature is more than 37 degree, when the temperature is less than 37, shivering will start, because we need to maintain that common body temperature, right? So for that, what body will do? Body will start shivering, and through that shivering makes some kind of exercise, and that increases the body temperature. And finally, the body is maintaining that temperature through this exercise or through shivering. Got it? So next comes, so that's how it's regulating the temperature and all. So that is called, that's what we need to explain through regulate. It's regulating or maintaining that temperature. Next, conformers. What is that? Conformers. What do you mean by conformers? So conformers, they are animals and plants. So in that, the temperature of body and osmotic concentration, that changes according to the surroundings. According to the surroundings, that temperature of body and osmotic concentration, that is changing according to the surrounding conditions, or according to the ambient condition, that osmotic concentration and the temperature of body, that is changing. So there we cannot maintain a constant internal environment. In which one? In conformers, we can't maintain a common internal environment. So all these plants and animals which cannot maintain a common or a constant internal environment, they are called as conformers, because depending upon the surrounding conditions, the surrounding ambient condition, that osmotic concentration will change, temperature of body also will change. Then that osmotic concentration of body fluids, that changes with the surrounding water osmotic concentration in the case of aquatic animals. So in the case of aquatic animals, osmotic concentration of body fluid, that is changing, that will be continuously changing based on the osmotic concentration of surrounding water, right? Then that thermoregulation, that is quite difficult for this conformers. So these conformers, they had for thermoregulation, they are not completely involved in that way. So it is a function, how it is maintaining, it is a function of the surface area. Surface area, that there it comes, there surface area for gaining or losing heat. Okay, so in thermoregulation, it's not so perfect. When thinking about the osmotic concentration, in the case of aquatic animals, they will be living in water. So based on how the osmotic concentration of body fluid it is maintaining, based on the surrounding water. What is the osmotic concentration of the surrounding water? Like that, it will be maintaining the, it will be managing the osmotic concentration of the internal fluids also. Then the cost and the benefit. Cost and the benefit of maintaining a constant internal environment. So during the evolution time, this is also considered. Small animals, depends upon, or it is relative to their volume. Okay, that small animals, they have large surface area. Okay, so they tend to lose heat very fast in the colder environment, and then they have to expend much energy to generate body heat through metabolism. So when they are losing, so surface area is more, means they lose temperature very fast. And then they need to get that body heat through metabolism. They need to spend a lot of energy. So this is the reason behind there is no animals or very few animals in the polar region. That's why there are very few animals in the polar region, because to maintain that body temperature, they need to waste lot of energy through metabolism to gain that, or to come back to that original body temperature. So only a limited type of organism, they have the ability to regulate the body temperature. So they became, they become conformers, or they become conformer beyond that limit. So the organism, they have two other alternatives, like they can migrate and they can suspend in such kind of stressful conditions. Okay, or they can become short duration ones. Okay, so if they are not able to manage to maintain that condition or to manage that body heat, they can follow other methods also. Okay, so what is the third one? They are migrate. These things are not just, you have to understand the concept. First one is regulate, means they are trying to regulate that feature, like regulating the temperature. Next is conformers. Conformers means according to the surroundings, they are changing the temperature or osmotic concentration and all. So in a highly osmotic concentrated water, that organism will try to change the osmotic concentration of body fluids also. So according to the surrounding situations, they will change. Okay. The next comes migrate. What is that? Migrate. The organism can move away temporarily from the stressful habitat, and they'll be moving to a good area, or which is having perfect conditions for them. And when that stressful period is getting over, they can come back. So it is called as migration. So this is like It's like when a person is moving from one place to another place when that during summer season and all, it's difficult to survive in that area, means that person will be coming back to, or they'll be moving to another place where the climatic condition is better. So in that way, that is called as, that can be related to migration. So the organism can move away temporarily, not in a permanent way. Temporarily, it is moving from a stressful habitat and it is moving to a hospitable area, and they can return when that stressful period is getting over. They can return or they can come back. That is called as migration. So this strategy, the same strategy, it is like when a climatic or weather condition is not good, means one person will be moving from a region where temperature is more. From there, they'll be moving to another place where climatic conditions or weather condition is better. So many animals, they prefer long distance migration to find out more hospitable areas. Okay, so particularly birds we can see during winter season, and for egg laying, some birds will migrate to some regions and all. So during winter season in Rajasthan, that hosts thousands of migratory birds. Okay, in Rajasthan, there is a national park, Bharatpur. There is a national park in Rajasthan. So that national park that hosts thousands of migratory birds that is coming from Siberia and then other cold northern regions and all. Then in Arctic term, salmon fish, then Siberian crane. We can see the annual migration, but it's not seen in salamander. We can't see this. In Siberian crane, then salmon fish and all, you can see that migration. Then next is, so to manage, organisms are using this condition, the third one, migration. They are migrating from one place to another place. It is a temporary movement from one place to another place. Next is suspend. What do you mean by suspend? That word meaning stopping for some time, right? So in bacteria, then in fungi and lower plants and all, there are there and all you can see this kind of features like various kind of thick wall spores. Spores. We have learned about spores. So thick wall spores are found, and this can germinate whenever the fine weather or suitable environmental conditions are available. They can germinate. So that is helping to survive under in unfavorable condition. Okay. So the survival during unfavorable condition with the help of spores. That spores will be having thick walls and all. So when favorable condition comes, they will germinate. And the spores they are using for the survival during unfavorable condition. Then in higher plants and the seed dispersal and all, you can see that another example for the suspension or suspending. Then by reducing their metabolic activity during this, because I said it's stopping for some time. That means it is, that organism is not going to die, but that will reduce the metabolic activity because they need to save energy, right? So reducing their metabolic activity and they are going to a dormant stage. Means physiologically inactive stage. Okay. So the state of dormancy, that's what they prefer during that time. If organisms are not able to migrate from one place to another place, they will prefer the dormant condition. That means that might be avoiding that stress, and it is trying to escape from such conditions. See, an example of escape that is provided by bear, which is going to hibernation. Hibernation, or what is hibernation? Winter sleep. During winter time, that bear that is going for hibernation. Then summer related problem, to avoid that summer related problem, that means heat and desiccation. For that, some snails and fish that will go to aestivation. In 11th standard, we have learned about this hibernation, aestivation and all. Okay, and what is aestivation? That is summer sleep. Hibernation is to escape from winter. That time the metabolic activities will be suspended. Then aestivation means summer sleep. Then many zooplanktons are there. Some species of zooplanktons. In lakes and ponds and all, you can see this. And they will suspend their development. They will enter dispose. That means the stage of development suspension. They will suspend the development. And when unfavorable condition comes, that time they will suspend their development. Okay. So this phenomenon like hibernation, aestivation and all, it's for a time period. It's not continuous. A whole life it won't be there. That is for a particular time period. Okay. There is a time limit for this. So other organisms, how they are going to cope up with the situation of the changing environment? The main strategies adapted by organism: regulate, confirm, migrate, and suspend. Any of this following they'll be using, like regulate, confirm, migrate, suspend. Any of this they'll be using to exist there. Okay. So these are the major concepts we need to study, and we need to understand the concept, because here you will get application type questions and little more elaborate answers for your board exam. So here the strategies which are adapted by organism. You will get question from the following. Just select the strategies which are adapted by the organism for the changing environment or to achieve the homeostasis. What and all they will try. That kind of questions you will get from this part. Then we need to learn about adaptations and different adaptations which is used by the organism. So that we need to learn in detail. The whole class will be learning about that only in the next class. Adaptations, we need to learn what is adaptation and different kind of adaptations in desert lands, then adaptations in kangaroo rat, then altitudes, high altitude sickness, then in archaebacteria, what and all changes are there. So all these things we need to learn. So before that, you need to be clear about these strategies. Different conditions like temperature, water, light, soil, and all. You should be clear about these concepts. Then only you can learn the adaptations, because according to all these situations, organisms are getting adapted. So first you need to know the feature, and for which feature it is organism is getting adapted. That also you need to learn. For each one you need to learn the example, especially for NEET. Okay. So hope up to this it's clear. So in next class we'll be moving to adaptations with so many examples we need to learn. That is main questions important for NEET exam. So that's all today's class. Thank you.